Mr. Rijam is registered professional engineer in Malaysia under the control and instrumentation discipline and has more than 15 years of experience in the power industry, covering engineering and O&M practice. He's also been heavily involved in process plant operation and maintenance, plant control and safety system, and engineering and design of the asset. And this combination of expertise brings a lot of value to the support that he's providing in his current role to AVEVA. And we are now ready for his presentation. If we can give him the presenter rights. Okay, we can see your screen, sir, now. You can begin.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ritika. I think you can hear me well, right?
Yes, I can hear you absolutely fine.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the Digital Power Plant Asia 2021. So I think today I'm going to talk about the digital accelerations of the power plants of the future. So what is the criteria that we need to deploy, or things that we need to focus to make all the power plant assets that is coming from conventionals or RE assets ready for the future by applying such available technology that we have today. Okay, so I think before I move on into the details, right? So I would like to bring this case. So this is basically Duke Energy. So AVEVA and Duke Energy in the US have been working together for more than 10 years to deploy digital transformation roadmap, right? So along the way, so we are basically working together and jointly develop asset information management portals, and inside it we also deploy our AI and machine learning technology to basically predict, prescribe, and then do prognostic analytics to the asset, right? So we have found so many cases. Then I would just like to bring this one because this issue on the criticality of working together, or the benefit of working together between the plants owners and these solution vendors in managing or in making the digital journey of such asset successful, right? So in Duke, we basically have been working with them for quite some time. So we not just supply the solutions and then deploy it based on our own understanding only. So we and Duke are working together where basically Duke also can bring their own algorithms, their own way of measuring, so way of analysis into the system and then make the system successful, right? So we have a lot of catches of these asset anomalies along the way. Then last 2 years we have this very big catch amounting of 34 million. In regards to one of their steam turbine issues. Okay. So before we move further, we need to understand the needs and the challenges on what are the power plants operators have at the moment. So have what be mentioned by Mr. Mitul and also Mr. Lee before, right? So the digital transformations or digital accelerations, value creations are basically higher compared to the last 2 or 3 years ago. This is because of this COVID-19 pandemics that pushing people to work remotely and then being far away from the plants or from the office, right? So those acceleration value become more critical and they increase from year to year. So the new normal situations push all those plant operators to be fast and efficient. So they need to provide the correct information whenever they needed it and wherever all those resources are located, right? So they need to be more flexible and scalable. They need to start maybe deploy such a system that can be operated inside the cloud, can be controlled from any other sites or any other offices around the globe. They need to enable also remote collaborations, and then at the end of the day, they need to make sure that all of these newly deployed digital transformation technology are secure than ever, right? So all those things that I listed out here is basically a very, very critical to define on how successful these digital transformations or digital accelerations can be deployed by
Mr. Rijam,
those.
sorry to interrupt you. There is a gray patch that's coming on your presentation. Maybe something's open on your.
Sorry about that.
If you can close.
How about now?
Yeah. Now it's not there. I mean, it's there slightly, but at least that big patch is gone. Now it's back again.
Right there. Sorry.
I think this is fine because we are able.
How about this? This is okay?
Yes, this is fine.
Okay. Sorry for that. So we have so let's take a look at this digital transformation trend, right, in the power industry. So this is a survey that been done by Capgemini last year. So they are basically interviewing 200 senior executives from the global utility companies. Then they can summarize this chart here. So basically the digital transformations is needed more than ever before. It's not the things like that you can talk. I mean, to be to be proud of, or just to be in front compared to your competitor, but it's a thing that is necessity now, and then it's the things that basically can bring you or make you to be more competitive and ahead of the competitions. So these are the things that that they found out, where 58% of them agree that the process automations need to be transformed, including operation analytics, predictive, and also predictive maintenance and other things, right? So the next energy revolution is basically digital transformation. So there are opportunity for the power owner operators to basically take a look at this point here, where these are basically the critical focus that for them need to take into the front. Okay, so we are talking about taking insight and decision support through big data. So you have all those data in your historian system. You got your big data in your ERP, but how can you basically exploit the value of those data that's sitting on your specific or siloed solutions or applications, right? One other thing that maybe I would like to highlight here is to streamline the innovations. So such a corporate-driven roadmap should be drive, and then those roadmap and then later on should be discussed, and then bring together the inputs that is coming from the end user at these headquarters or at the plant sites. Okay. They also need to look at these to reduce the total cost of ownership of their system, right? So there are a lot of vendors, or there are a lot of solution providers out there, but they need to be more vigilant, and they need to basically have their own inside team to look at this total cost of ownership and how they can get fast ROI out of their investment, right? So they also need to utilize the AI technologies, machine learning, to basically have a predict. How to predict the asset failure before those issues is happen, right? So we also talking about how to basically deploy this workforce, and then make them a digital workforce or a connected worker, by enable those systems to be accessed to those resources anywhere and whenever they want to. Okay. So the vision of the future is, everybody is talking about digital transformations. Where to start? Am I good to start? Do I need to have a specific roadmap? I think those points I think have been basically shared or clarified or answered by the previous panelists, by Mr. Mito and also Mr. Lee, based on the TNB experience, for example. But I just want to stick back to understand the phases of digital transformation. So the first step is we should understand where we are as of today, right? So first, if we not have a digitized environment, we need to basically digitize our environment. So if you are still working on papers without any electronic informations about your engineering information and also real time, then you need to make them available first, right? So connect your sensor to your assurance, make your engineering information available in the electronic versions and so on, right? So digitize your environments. So after digitize, you need to digitalize it. So digitalize it is basically you make use of that digital information, digital documents, and put in a certain applications and then make it to give you more value, right? For examples, if you are having electronic engineering information already, so you are basically collecting all those electronic documents into a specific KKS information. For example, if I go to a specific pump, I will have all those information about that pump regarding its operational history and engineering information, regardless of where or what source of those information are. Okay, and then digital transformations. Transformation here means that we collect and connect all those in-siloed operations into a single platform where we basically can access all those informations that coming from the engineering side, that is coming from plant operation, that is coming from the finance, that is coming from this corporate, etc., into one single platform, and then make all those single access of truth applications or portal. Then we accelerate that. So accelerate here means that it's not, those informations are not only able to be accessed or not only be able to be connected at specific locations or using a specific device or a specific time, right? So we are accelerate that, enable that to all those users, departments, sections, and within all those devices, applicable to it. So these are basically the four main digital transformation path that need to be understood and that need to be captured by all those plant operators. Okay, so let's identify where we are at the moment. Then from there we can basically define a correct roadmap on how to really drive our digital transformation roadmap. Okay, so talking as a service provider, talking as this technology provider, I would agree with everyone that it's not only about the technology. So technology is the last things that came into place. So people and process is also part of the Trinity, right? So you need to come in that order: people, process, and the technology. So we need to make these digital transformations. It's not only IT project or IT priority, but we need also to involve the operators. We need to involve all these available end users that we have in the organizations, right? So that is where we can basically capture the people's and processes requirements and then define it inside our blueprint. So the transformation should start by creating strategic digital roadmap and then make it visible to others, so that everyone can basically put their information or put their comments to make them basically valuable at the end of the day. So it's fine to think big. It's fine to have a really high-end target. That's fine. But we can take we can take a step-by-step approach, phase-by-phase approach. Start with a small, very small proof of concept solutions or proof of value solutions to determine that if this approach is correct. Okay. So to summarize again, it always about the people's process and lastly technology. So those change, those acceptance, those inputs need to come from the people and process before we finally decide on which technology to use or which vendor to select. Okay, the technology is only at the tip of the iceberg, but the the hidden factors of the success of the digital transformation is basically how we want to make our organization be more competent, how we want to change our culture from maybe less value culture to a higher values, how we want to govern our best practice in that technology in part of our digital transformations to bring the values into dollar and cents, and at the end of the day transfer it into additional margins to our operations, right? So those are the things that we need to look into. So as a solution provider, so AVEVA vision for power plants of the future is basically covering the living digital twins. So living digital twin is basically an digital representation of your physical assets, covering the whole full spectrum of the digital twin. So we are talking about the digital assets. We are talking about the digital operations, smart worker that is easily connect to these digital environments, and then the living products. The living product here is basically those digital transformation solutions is not a deploy and forget solutions. So we need to understand on how to always maximize the return of our investment. For examples, we want to deploy predictive analytics, right? So we need to make sure that our system is flexible enough to change or to adapt to the new operational strategy that we want to define in the future, right? For examples, there are basically a lot of vendor that's offering predictive analytics algorithm for us to use, but we need to identify which are the best for us. Are we able to basically always change the algorithm and then define our own? Are we able to basically change the parameters of our monitorings, alarm, and others? So those are the things that we need to look into. So the things that AVEVA is focusing for the power plant of the future is basically this for engineering and design for link constructions. You want to go for digital workforce, paperless digital workforce, unmanned operations, and optimize our engineering and maintenance. So let me go a bit more details one by one. So in terms of the engineering and design for link constructions, the power plants operators need to shift from the traditional style of works where it all basically left all those informations being defined by the PC contractors. So currently at the moment, a lot of power plant operators start to define their own data requirements. So for example, you are talking about one asset like pump, part of the project. The plant owners start to define in their PC contract that they want to have this at least mandatory 15 attribute for this specific pump that need to be submitted by the PCs at the end of the days or anywhere that the time is defined, right? So they also define the standard aspect of those documentation of those data that going or need to be delivered during the project or after this commissioning period, right? So those things are basically taking place now. Then it gives the plant owners a very good value where they can basically monitor these informations at a time during the project executions, and then make sure that those informations being handed over to them is as per their own requirement and specification, right? So we need to replace into a document-centric strategy into a data-centric strategy, where we can basically make sure that everything that we want is there. Because
Rijam, if you could wrap up in 3-4 minutes, then I'll take some questions.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, sir. You can take another 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, so yeah, so my time is another 4 minutes, is it?
Yeah, another 3 minutes you can take, and then I'll take questions.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So then we go to paperless digital workforce, where so paperless digital workforce is basically we need to basically enable the access of these informations into digital devices already. So we want to push the workforce transformations by not more referring or using paper-based information storage. For example, still referring to printed pin IDs, which is you're not sure when is it defined and everything, right? So paperless digital workforce here is to enable the workforce transformations and then make them have the access to contextual enterprise data, covering engineering, process, and asset real-time informations. Then we also basically can build best practice inside this environment, right? So thinking about one digital workforce solutions that can be accessed anywhere in any device that can give you trusted and act as single source of truth of your process, asset, engineering, and supply chain data. So this key strategy is basically can help you very much in learning management, 3D visualizations, real-time accessing information, and others. It's the next is basically unmanned operation. So this is maybe not suitable for for specific operators that are located in certain geographic locations, but for operators that are managing some kind of assets that really distributed or located around very tough geographic locations, then these become a very critical already. So we need to define a good way to approach this unmanned operation strategy, right? So we need to make sure that this strategy are going to be applied based on our asset criticality. So there are technology over there that allow the operators to connect with their control system, DCS or SCADA, then managing or remotely operated the plants for specific locations based on the asset criticality scheme. Okay, so it's not only about the remote operation center, but the unmanned operation also involve the operation. Involved on the maintenance side of it, where at the single location they also have access to all those critical engineering and process or asset health information. And then the last thing of this digital transformation strategy that we think is very critical for the power plant of the future is to have informed maintenance, right? So it's always about making decisions, but how to make the right decision fast is another story. So we need to get ready with good preparation and planning on system, and the system should be able to basically provide the information that you want whenever and whenever that you want, and those informations can be trusted, right? So information here is related to all those engineering and maintenance information. So we want to know the information about the assets, from yesterday, from today, and for tomorrow. So we need to have those capabilities for the power plant of the future, right? So the key strategy is to keep this digital asset information evergreen along the way. So whatever changes need to be captured in your minimum of change process, and then defines or amend in your digital solutions. So it's not like you deploy and then leave it there for the next 5 years. So this information need to be compliant and consistent with your physical assets that you are running, right? Then for the future, the best is to have a visualizations context to the specific informations or to the issues that you are solving. For example, we have permit to works. We have PTW that have been issues. Then in that PTW, we need to isolate some numbers of equipment, right? So we can basically visualize which are equipment or which asset that need to be isolated, part of this PTW scope of works. So as AVEVA, maybe some of you already know that we basically completed our merger with Osisoft last March. So we basically bring all those world-class digital software providers into one roof, combine those industry expertise together to give better data access, proven outcome, and smarter solutions to these all power plant operators globally. Right? So with the expertise of data management from Osisoft, we can bring all those informations into the lifecycle management phase, covering all those asset strategy lifecycle, and then visualize it the way that the customer wants, on-premise and also inside our cloud environment. So maybe you want to bring the questions?
Yes, thank you so much for your presentation. There is one clarification that a participant needs. What does lean construction refer to?
Sorry, come again?
A lean construction that you mentioned, what does it refer to?
The lean construction is a process where we basically want to put all the processes part of this construction works, the project works, where we can get the highest, the best or the highest margin that we can get. So when it focusing on a specific engineering and design solutions in a project, the best lean construction method is basically to have an environment where all those stakeholders can work together. So you have the plant owners, you have the main EPCs, and then you have the subcontractors or vendors that is working together in a site. In the single environments where all those changes, all those effects, all those problems can be communicated as soon as it detected, and then reduce the effects of the delays and additional costs of such project. So that is lean constructions if you are talking about a specific angle of engineering design software or solutions.
There's one more question for you. In terms of paperless digital workforce and unmanned operations that you mentioned, which utilities in Asia have you deployed solutions for in these areas?
In Asia, we deploy it in Singapore. We deploy it in SP in Singapore. We deploy it in Aboitiz Power in the Philippines.
And do you feel there is a great opportunity for these kind of solutions going forward? Like, what's the outlook on that front?
Are you talking about unmanned operations, right? Here?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it's best. Yes, it's good opportunity to expand these kind of solutions, but of course, these unmanned operations strategy need to be aligned with the specific power plant operators requirements. For example, right, we are working with one of these hydro plant operators in the Philippines, where they own around 30 small hydro plants in very huge geography locations. From there they define number of centralized unmanned operation centers that can cover by specific zones, specific province, and then at the end of the day at the national level, right? So every those stage or phase of this unmanned operation center have different capabilities. For example, the lower stage maybe can only control this the plant or the main equipments. The later stage or bigger stage after that can not only control but also can override the control system at their end, and also have access to the real-time data that is coming from the plant itself.
Okay. All right. On that note, we'll close the session. Thank you so much, Mr. Rijam. And if there are any specific questions, we'll ask the participants to get in touch with you. We'll share your email ID.
Okay. Thank you.